Here's your smart fact of the day. A lot of people are saying Facebook's TikTokification is complete. They're referring to Facebook's new user interface changes that they have got. Now, Facebook always enhances its user interface. In fact, it has more than 60 counted user interface changes from, the early 2000s when it started till 2012, and now we are in 2022. So God knows how many subtle changes they have made which have escaped our notice. But this one is specifically interesting because it is separating the home feed into two areas. One area is coming in from an algorithm that is giving us reels and stories about recommended content. Okay, not really coming from friends and family, but there is another area which is specifically dedicated to friends and families. So in this episode of Smarter with Sid, what we are going to try and do is figure out why Facebook is doing it. Is it really trying to take on TikTok and, kind of follow whatever TikTok is doing? Or is there something deeper that Facebook has understood? Let's go. So first things first, what is Facebook proposing? Now, mind you, this is just a proposed change and we might end up seeing it not being followed at all if it doesn't get used or gets rubbished, or we might end up seeing something even more stronger from Facebook. But what they're proposing essentially is that there'll be a new home feed, which will be a vertical feed, which will mostly have reels and stories, coming in from an algorithmic sort. So you're going to get feed from the algorithm, which is kind of reading into your personal tastes as far as content is concerned. A lot of recommended posts and very limited family and friend posts. Now, this is a lot like, TikTok. But there will be another newsfeed tab, which will be a chronological sort, which will have all your friends and family and groups and pages, etc., and no recommended posts. Right? So now this has advantages and disadvantages, even from a pure user perspective. Let's leave aside the TikTok fighting angle for a little bit. If you probably wanted to hide your personal side or, from colleagues on Facebook, the platform is testing this new feature to do just that. Also, it's quite possible that you might want to show off a different side when you're trying to look upon yourself as a content creator rather than just somebody who has is connecting on social media. Now, this is a problem that I've certainly faced because a lot of my content which is coming out of this podcast or any content I'm creating on social media is mixed up with my normal feed. And that is something that makes me want to have a different account, which is like, a fairly complicated thing to manage. Who the hell wants to manage more and more accounts and passwords, right? So there is some inherent user benefit, but more than that, let's kind of look at the TikTok angle and put it to rest. There is obviously a fight with TikTok, and they have kind of understood, Facebook has, that TikTok is certainly ruling because of its single-minded focus on algorithmic content, which is pushed out to people, rather than confusing it with, friends and family and all of those filters. So the fight against TikTok is the fight against, relevance, slipping relevance rather, that Facebook is having because its normal newsfeed is getting populated by a lot of recommended posts. Now, TikTok works because everyone's expectations are very clear when you go to TikTok. And for people in India, when you don't have TikTok, well, you can look at your Moj and your Takatak and whatever it is. And who knows, TikTok might again make a comeback quite soon. Or you might have Instagram as a poor cousin of TikTok in the algorithm sense, mind you. In the algorithm sense, I never thought I'd say that. In fact, people on Instagram used to get pretty snooty about TikTok just a few years back. But that's another story. But I want to come back to the main story. What I want to do is figure out, is there something deeper than just fighting against TikTok and fighting for relevance that Facebook is doing today with its change? Not really. I think that there is something deeper over here. If I look at where social media is today, whether you go on Instagram or whether you go on Facebook or whether you go on Twitter or anything else, you soon understand that we are seeing a clear-cut division between content that we are consuming from content creators that we want to follow, and news that we want to be updated upon from family and friends. Now, this is critical. This always existed, but it was kind of being jumbled up. Today, what we have recognized is that maybe we need to unjumble this stuff. What do I mean by this? I mean that if I look at social media today and if I go to Facebook, I hardly see anything that I have liked. I don't like it. I genuinely don't like the content that I'm getting on Facebook. I don't even know the people that I know on Facebook. So it has gone kind of haywire, isn't it? And on the other hand, where content is today, if I look at in comparison to where social media is today, social media is losing relevance because I'm getting lesser and lesser input from people I'd like to follow, even in real life. Where content is today is that it is clearly making a shift, not just from traditional media like theaters and films, etc., or cable TV and satellite TV to OTT, but it's going beyond OTT and it is going to the likes of YouTube Shorts, and TikTok. So where content is going today is towards the long tail, wherein you are going to get more and more content and a proliferation of that content. And it will be an unholy mess if it is mixed up with social media feeds. So at this moment, if you go to Facebook or even if you go to Instagram, you will soon see that it is a fairly unsatisfactory experience. The reason being that when I go to Facebook or when I go to Instagram, I'm going there for a purpose. Most of the times, that purpose is not towards consuming content from content creators. The primary purpose probably was with Instagram and with Facebook. It was about having a community on Facebook, connecting to friends and family on Facebook, and then checking out what their content is. So, or the recommended content from them. So that was a secondary purpose. But this primary purpose is being lost because of the secondary purpose, isn't it? On the other hand, if you see the way in which content creators are also being penalized for pushing out content on these social media, that's another story. Because if I look at it, the content that is coming from a content creator on Reels or on, on stories on Instagram or anywhere on Facebook is also getting lesser purchase because of the long tail effect, because a lot of content creators are coming on social media. Now, this is where someone has to look at where social media is and where content is and kind of probably make a difference. So if I look at TikTok, I think today, I wouldn't call TikTok as much of a social media rather than just a content-based platform that I'm, enjoying great content from. And I would say YouTube probably ranks in that same category. And I would say Facebook is trying to compete with TikTok and YouTube Shorts in the content category by splitting the difference between social media and content consumption itself. So now, just have a think about it. Today, when I'm trying to look at time pass content or something, I go to some sort of TikTok thing, or maybe I'll go to an Instagram, but that's also changing. Because if you look at how Instagram is actually moving, it is moved towards privacy of accounts. So if I have a private account, I will not be able to follow that. Nobody will be able to follow me, but content creators are, public accounts. So that's how Instagram has tried to solve that problem. But Facebook is sort of an older uncle over here. And what it's trying to do is it's trying to make that sharp divide and make that sharp divide as a statement of relevance for social media. So what's likely to happen with Facebook? What are the likely things that are going to happen at Facebook? I personally think that this change is going to it will take a little time to be accepted because there'll be the naysayers, but it might end up improving the overall social media experience on Facebook. So I, for one, I'm actually quite happy that this is being attempted. I don't know whether this will work. I don't know whether behavior will change. But if behavior does change, we might end up having a much better social media experience on Facebook. Now, What are the takeaways for you? If you're a content consumer, maybe Facebook might be a better place to be. And if you're a social media user, maybe Facebook might be a better place to be after people have settled down and if this feature works. If you're a content creator, I think you should certainly explore Facebook's content as an additional option to Instagram, to TikTok, to YouTube and YouTube Shorts. Well, I hope you like this particular episode of mine of Smarter with Sid. Many more to come from where this came from. And if you like stuff like this, do check out all the stuff IBM's got for you. And hey, if you like me, I'm the traveling professor. Follow me on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Cheers.